Welcome in, everybody. I'm BlaiseMcBaine. I'm one of the ambassadors of Guardians Mental Health, and today I'm here to talk to you about coaching and communication that comes along with that. And first and foremost, the one thing you want to do as a coach is understand your players, understand what they expect from you as a coach. Are you there to help with specific aspects? Are you there to structure that holds everyone together? Are you more of like a scheduler? Are you giving feedback based off scrims and VOD reviews? What is it exactly that they want from you as a coach? There are many different types of coaches. Some teams have multiple coaches, and understanding your role and what you mean to the team is very, very important. It's also a good idea to figure out not only what your strengths and weaknesses are, and be honest about that, but figure out what your players' strengths and weaknesses are and make sure to note that down, whether that's in a Google Doc that can be edited at any time, or just like a Discord channel where you can have something for goals or just strengths and weaknesses. Having a very honest conversation with constructive feedback is really, really important. And this takes us into what is positive coaching. This is something I practice with my athletes as a coach in track and field along across country. And first and foremost, you want to make sure the feedback you're offering is constructive. And not just your feedback, but the player's feedback to each other and yourself. Making a player feel attacked or putting them down is not going to help anybody. You create a negative environment. And a lot of times it's going to cause somebody to play worse. If you think about playing in a casual environment, if someone's typing at you in a game and it's all negative, does it make you want to play better? Probably not. So our roles here as coaches are to do the same. We want to uplift and we want to teach. That's what our goals are as a coach. And this follows up with like a compliment sandwich. Maybe you talk about, hey, I'm going to offer you a piece of positive advice as something you did really, really well this game. And then, hey, this is something we need to work on a little bit, giving a little bit of what I would call negative constructive feedback. Not that you're being harsh or overcritical, but pointing out something that needs to be worked on, and then coming back around with another positive piece of feedback. Allowing there to start with a positive, point out something we need to do better, end with a positive, and that's going to allow the people you're talking to, your players or player, to show, hey, you care about what they're doing. You care about seeing their growth. You're going to say what they do well. You're going to say what, needs some work. And that's okay. And that's going to help promote growth. It's going to show the players that you care. And it's also going to let them know that, hey, I did some things well too. I may have done some bad things. Everybody has a bad game. Everybody does. But sometimes there's more bad than good. Trying to find those positive silver linings go a long, long way. In the power of positivity, understanding the power of remaining calm and offering positive feedback and making sure it's constructive. As soon as you get kind of like an aggressive tone of nature, there's a lot of people who are going to shut down. You'll have people tell you, hey, I enjoy when my coach yells at me. It makes me want to play harder. There's a difference between yelling of like a positive nature, like, you got this, let's go, you're on, and keep up what you're doing. And they're coming down like, you suck. Like there's a difference. And you want to make sure the feedback you're offering is constructive. You can find a lot of great tips from Positive Coaching Alliance. I've taken a lot of their seminars in the past, and I think they're very, very helpful. But I think remaining a positive coach and not focusing on the negative is really, really important. I always tell players, hey, it's really easy to focus on the negative. The thing that you are bad at is the one thing you're going to focus on the most. The thing that you failed at is the one thing you're going to remember. You're not going to remember all these things that you did great. You're going to remember the one negative thing because that's how our brain works. And because of that, I always go, hey, don't think of a purple elephant. And immediately, that's one of the things you think about. So really focus on that positive fine-tuning when it comes to your coaching, and that's going to help your players, and really it's going to create a better environment for you as a coach, because now you have these players that want to learn, they want to get better, they want to grow, and they enjoy how you handle it. I've done that with a team recently in esports. It's gone very, very well. As I said, look, guys, these are the things that we need to hit on. These are the things we need to talk about. We need to really cut out some of the negativity that we're having. In the next scrim, everything went way more smooth. Everybody felt better about how they played. They're like, wow, that was a lot better. Offering that positive feedback is just so, so important. And along with that goes with goal setting. Goal setting is something that can go a long way for us as coaches, for players, and just in life in general. And having players understand achievable goals based off the feedback they're getting each week, each set, or however often you're giving feedback, having achievable goals. So I always tell people, you want a short-term goal that's achievable, and you want a long-term goal that is going to be hard to get. If your long-term goal is something you achieve in 2 weeks, it's not going to feel great that you accomplished it. You're going to diminish that reward to yourself of achieving that goal. So making sure your short-term goals are very achievable and are growth-oriented, while your long-term goals take a long time to get there, but once you reach there, you're like, I finally did it, is really important. I always tell people, because I coach running, that your short-term goal is, hey, maybe I want to work on my breathing this race. Maybe I want to work on getting my time down for a 5K 10 seconds, 20 seconds. But maybe in my long-term goal, let's say I've been running 35 minutes, that I want to get to 30 in the next few months. That's an achievable long-term goal, but you're going to have to push to get there. So it's definitely something to keep in mind how you goal set, because goals can be a positive way to reinforce, but at the same time, if they're too achievable for your long-term goals, then you're going to have a problem. And make sure the players know that the goals don't always have to be performance-based. They can be based on communication, calling out flanks, calling out vision, calling out abilities, shot calling, response to, those calls, your positioning. They don't always have to be so much based on winning, KDA, things of that nature. They can be on other aspects of the game. Maybe it's your laning phase if you're playing a MOBA. Maybe it's on being better about picking up certain items in a battle royale. Your team communication is really important, and that's something you could always focus on as well. And speaking of communication, you really want to make sure you're communicating with your team in several different ways. You want to make sure you can get a schedule set up, whether that's through when to meet each week, a Google Team calendar, scheduling a channel in Discord where you have all the schedules listed each week. Making sure that there's a schedule that everybody knows, hey, this is when we're going to play, this is what, like a scrim, this is when we're going to practice, this is when our set is. Maybe we have a team meeting once every 2 weeks, something like that. Make sure that's all put out there in the communication for the players and yourself. Also, make sure that if team members are concerned about voicing opinions, they can reach out to you. And they can talk to you on one-on-ones. If it's an issue with a player on the team, you should take the responsibility to address that with that player, not necessarily in a group environment, but just in a one-on-one. If it needs to be a group environment, be there as a mediator. That is a very important role of a coach, is to not take sides. Obviously, if there is an issue with toxicity or something like that, you want to nip that in the butt early if possible. But talk to team members one-on-one, get their feedback. Sometimes players are going to tell you something one-on-one they won't tell you in a group. I think that's really good, especially just establishing those bonds between you and the players. Set up team meetings to discuss what is your team identity. That's a really, really important part of a team, no matter what game you're playing. To determine is, what is our identity? How do we want to play the game? How do we want to approach the game? Are we wanting to play fast? Or we want to play slow? What is it that we're wanting to do? And discuss what the team environment can be. Along with that, when you talk about team identity, this is a decision that should be worked on early and often. Your team identity lets everyone know what the common flow and goal of the team is, and allows them to get better feedback to the players and yourself based off their identity. Along with this, when you have your identity, you want to make sure to set up your shot callers. Make sure you have, an overall shot caller along with somebody, or sometimes people call that their driver. And you want to have a backup shot caller. That way, if that person goes down, or you need someone to override bad calls, understand what the stress of the situation is, and be able to respect each other's calls and feedback. That's a really important part of all team games, is this understanding who's your shout caller, who you need to follow in certain situations. Do you have a backup just in case someone goes down, or just being like, hey guys, I think this is a bad call, this is why, and getting that feedback out quick, short, to the point, and concise. Post-game meetings. I have a very different feeling on this, probably than most people do. If you've had a really, really bad game, I think you are better off doing a very short team meeting. Say, hey guys, these are the things we did well. We'll come back and discuss the rest tomorrow. Because generally those meetings go really, really bad if you do them right then and there and try to discuss all the things that need to be worked on. Sometimes people can feel targeted. Multiple players can feel that way. It becomes kind of a negative team environment when really take that day, come back the next day, VOD review, get it looking at it in a more positive light. You'll find some things that could have been done better. Or sometimes you're just like, hey, it was a wash. That was just a bad game for us. And sometimes that's just the way of the road. Don't focus just on one player's performance. Focus on everyone's performance. Generally, there's something that everybody could have done better in a game, and let them know, hey guys, these are the things we did well. Let's focus on this next game. Maybe it's warding, maybe it's this communication, maybe it's this vision. And then along with that, one of the things I like to do with my runners is called high-low wows. And this is, I think, a good idea for your post-game meetings, especially those ones you want to keep on the shorter side. Hey, what was the best part of my day or the best part of our match? What's our high? What was the lowest point? What's something we need to work on? And what is something that's like, wow, we did really, really well there, and I'm excited to see where this takes us. I think that could be a fun way to do post-game meetings, and I think it could really go a long way to help out your team overall. And really and truly, that's all I have for you for coaching. If you ever want to reach out, you can find me at BlaiseMcBaine in Discord, and I'm happy to discuss coaching and just communication overall and helping you set up these things for your team. But that's it. Take it easy. I hope you enjoy the esports kit.